Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the BFNL Footy Show for season 2016. The first edition brought to you, of course, by McDonald's Ballarat and Ballarat Toyota, long-time supporters of the Ballarat Football Netball League and the BFNL Footy Show. Shaun Kelly's my name in the host's chair this year. Yeah, you probably didn't think you'd be seeing that after kind of moved out of the office in December. Still around, still kicking, and still bringing you the footy shows this year. Alongside my co-host for the year, Liam Brady. Welcome back, Dodge.
Yeah, thanks, Shaun. Good to be back, mate. I can't believe how fast the summer's gone.
Correct.
It feels like yesterday we were sitting here talking about the grand final, but really exciting. Obviously, one game of BFL football last weekend, and a full fixture this weekend, mate. So looking forward to getting into the swing of things.
It's going very, very nicely indeed. To start with, what we're going to do on the footy show this year, we're going to talk about each week some of the major talking points from the past week before we have a look at the coming week's fixtures and give our thoughts on the week's games. Our talking points from this week, starting off with the season launch held last Saturday at the Marty Bush Reserve in conjunction with the Junior Lightning Premiership. Really good day out there. Telstra getting involved. Drone selfies everywhere, of course. Having the Lightning Premiership involved meant there were kids, people everywhere. Great to have the ACU Sovereigns involved, the Western Bulldogs involved. Yeah. And great to have some a shorter, I suppose, formalities this year. We had a chat to Shaun O'Loughlin about the Interleague program, which we'll touch on in the coming weeks on the footy show. And, of course, the new netball court officially opened at Marty Bush Reserve as well.
Yeah, really exciting weekend, I suppose you could say, Shaun. I was out there on both days and having a look at the junior netball and junior footy, and it was great to see so many people. I think everyone's up and about at the start of the season, and it's great to see the kids running around really enjoying their sport. I know that the crowds are pretty good as well, so it's a great way to start the season, and to have the season launch tied in with the Junior Lightning Premiership. I think worked really well, and I suppose the conditions were good as well. It's the ovals in really good condition, and also the brand new netball court at Sebastopol is really exciting for the Sebastopol Football Netball Club, and certainly, I suppose they'll be very excited. I suppose being able to use the court for the first time this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But all in all, a really good weekend out at Marty Bush Reserve.
Yeah, it was indeed a really good weekend overall as well, because just about the time that we were wrapping up the formalities at Marty Bush Reserve, the Darley Football Netball Club were unfurling their 2015 Premiership flag and kicking off season 2016 with the season opener up against Melton South at Darley Park last Saturday. Standalone game, and it was the Devils showing that they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with in season 2016. 24-17, 161 the Devils, defeating Melton South 6-13-49. Pretty impressive win by Darley straight off the bat, mate.
Yeah, look, Darley are going to be a class outfit again. There's no doubt about that. I think the way they've recruited as well in the off-season, to get a player like Mitch Banner, who was in the VFL team of the year last year, kicked 4 or 5 goals in the grand final. To get him in and for him to play on a wing, it's certainly a massive luxury for them. We know that Jake Edwards is going to be out for some period of time through injury, but they've still got that core group of players from last year's Premiership side, so they're going to be very, very hard to beat. And from all reports, the condition of the oval down there was the best it's been for a long, long time, so that's great to see. Look, for Melton South, a really, I suppose, a tough way to start the season. Look, they're coming up against last year's premiers, so even though it was a margin of about 120 points, I don't think they can get too disheartened about that, because they are playing the benchmark round one, so hopefully they can improve. But it just goes to show, everyone's talking about Redan, Lake Wendouree and these sort of teams, but don't forget about last year's premiers in Darley.
Exactly right. And look, Melton South, Mark Pedersen in the season preview that was on the BFL website last Friday, kind of expected that would happen. He wanted Darley straight away so he could show his kids exactly the standard they needed to go to play good footy in the BFL, and they got tipped over like a lot of people thought they would, but a good learning curve for the young Panthers as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think as Mark said, they're playing the benchmark round one, so they know where they're at. It's good to see a young side against the benchmark earlier in the season, because they don't get ahead of themselves. They know exactly where they need to improve on from the first round. So hopefully they can improve over the coming weeks.
Round one proper starting this weekend in the Ballarat Football Netball League, and some absolutely fantastic games to kick the season off as well. Starting down the road at Mattingley Park, Bacchus Marsh taking on Sunbury, two teams tipped to improve in season 2016. Travis Hodgson taking over the reins at Bacchus Marsh this year. Sunbury recruited very, very strongly, headlined by former Gold Coast son Alec Maggan coming into the team. Liam, your thoughts on this one, the Cobras against the Lions?
Yeah, look, I totally agree with you. I think both these teams will improve during the season. Look, Sunbury have recruited really well, and their pre-season form has been good also. Bacchus Marsh have been a side that have sort of shown different pieces of improvement over the last couple of years, and I really think they'll take the next step this year, and I think they can play finals football. With a new coach on board as well, I think that'll bring I suppose a lease of life as well on a few players. I think at home, Bacchus Marsh can win this game and start their season off on a fantastic note. As you said, Sunbury have got a few good recruits. Rick Hallwood this time last year, we're talking about Rick Hallwood just playing some young kids. Obviously lost a lot of players end of the previous season. Now those kids have got some decent games in them over the last 12 months, and I think we'll see a big improvement from Sunbury throughout the year as well. But I'm tipping Bacchus Marsh at home in a close one.
Yeah, Sunbury for mine in this one. Headed up to Sunbury earlier in the pre-season. Was pretty impressed with the way they're going about things. Adding some experience like Magan, like Joey Redfern, like Grant Vallis into the side this year, I think will make a bit of a difference, and they'll want to get the season started on a good note with a win. East Point taking on North Ballarat City at the Eastern Oval. This will be a very interesting game. Two of last year's finalists. Haven't heard much about East Point during the off-season. North Ballarat City, a lot of people tipping them to fall back down the ladder this year. Not quite sure about that. I do know, though, that East Point, unfortunately, will be without one of their key playmakers, Hayden Walters. Went down with a shoulder injury once again in their last pre-season practice match, and unfortunately it looks like he's going to miss a fair bit of time.
Look, disappointing. It's a really shattering story on the eve of the season. Look, we know Hayden's had quite a few injuries over the last 2 years, and we know the sort of football he can play. I remember watching him play in a interleague game about 3 years ago at the Eastern Oval, and he absolutely dominated the game.
2013 against Bendigo.
Yeah, and since then he's really struggled with a few injuries, in particular a shoulder injury. He hasn't been able to get right, and unfortunately in a practice match a couple of weeks ago he's hurt that again, so I think he's going to miss a fair stint. So look, it provides an opportunity for someone else. I know that East Point are really confident about this year. Glenn Wilkins has been at the helm for a little while now, so he knows the group really well, and I wouldn't be surprised if they improve throughout the season as well. They're obviously playing a team in North Ballarat City who we know we lost a lot of players in the off-season, but I've still got a cool group of younger players who are very good players. But look, I think the few losses that they have had, that the Howard boys, one of the Georges has gone to Springbank, or Aiden's gone down to Torquay as well.
Tyler's gone,
Tyler's gone to Springbank.
McNamara, obviously, to Balan.
So, yeah, look, Mitch Jenkins is also a big loss off the halfback flank, and Brendan Howard. Those two boys have gone to Beaufort along with Jaden Orr. So I think that core group of players leaving will certainly hurt them. But in saying that, though, they're a really well-run club that have had good depth over the last couple of years. So I still expect them to play finals this year, and I think this will be a really good game. I'm tipping the home team again, like I did in the previous game. I'm tipping East Point.
I'm going with the home team simply because it's round one. We don't know what's going out onto the paddock, which make round one's the hardest round of the year to tip. Let's make no mistake about it, because you don't know the form for those teams. So when in doubt, you go with the home ground advantage, and solely going with East Point just because they're playing at home this week. If the game was at Eureka Stadium, I would have picked North City, but East Point it is for mine this weekend. Speaking of home teams, Sebastopol starting off the season at home this weekend at the Marty Bush Reserve up against Ballarat. Brett Goods making his BFL debut with the Boroughs, and they're a sneaky chance in this one, and they know it. They've set themselves for it all throughout the pre-season. They've said, let's go out and win round one, and against the young Ballarat side, they're every chance.
Yeah, definitely. I think with having a player like Brett Goods there, obviously he'll assist majorly. He'll assist big time, I should say, in improving the way that the team can play on a week-to-week basis. But he will improve the players around him, just his leadership on the ground, his voice, the way he trains, the standards he sets from game day to training, etc. I think the younger group will benefit greatly out of having him around the group all the time. You mightn't see that straight away in the first couple of rounds, but I think as the season goes on, they'll certainly learn a lot off him. I know that he played his first game a couple of weeks ago against Buninyong, and just his voice and leadership on the ground was really good. So I think they're a big chance at home against a young Ballarat team who's obviously lost a fair few players. But I think Ballarat, just with still the experience they've got in the side, players like Shane Hutchison, still at the helm, I think they'll be a fraction too strong. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sebastian take it right up to them.
Yeah, I agree. Look, round one, I'm tipping Ballarat just because we know what's happening. We know that Rowan Marshall won't be playing down at Sebastopol probably all that much this year, as much as he did last year, taking on number one ruckman at the Roosters this year. Mark Gregg spoke to him earlier in the week, and he's put that on Rowan for the year, so we're not going to see too much of him at BFL level. Michael Powell has to get through training Tuesday and Thursday this week, hasn't had much of a pre-season, just wants to make sure he gets through both the training sessions and he'll play. If he doesn't, he's not playing. So if those two don't play, I reckon it's Ballarat probably by 4 or 5. if they do play, it'll be much. If Michael Powell does play, it'll be a much closer game. But still, just tipping Ballarat, going against my home ground advantage rule.
Yeah, just touching on Rowan Marshall, look, he played the majority of the year for Sebastopol the Seniors last year, and although Sebastopol would love to have him in the side this year, it's great to see a player that's, I suppose, had a good season at BFL level, and then progressed through to the regional VFL team, which it really is. And it's a great story for Rowan. Hopefully, he can take over that number one ruck mantle this year under Mark Gregg. And Sebastopol may not see too much of him, but good luck to Rowan on the year.
Yeah, good luck to Rowe with his job at the Roosters. Good luck also to the boys at Melton and Melton South this weekend. The local derby taking place at McPherson Park. Melton South, of course, already with the game under their belt, and Melton, talking to Brad Murphy during the week, he's pretty excited about this year. They've got some players in that he's very much looking forward to. Michael Licciardo, his assistant coach this year, has played a lot of A-grade footy. Mark Marrick, who's 203 centimetres, 110 kilos, and is just an absolute mountain. And he's very much looking forward to the Walker boys, Jack and Daniel, coming into the side this year as well. So Melton start well. They've put a real emphasis into getting miles in the legs in this pre-season. I think they'll go out and win fairly well this weekend. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what impact the game that Melton South played last week has. I know that both sides have played practice matches as well, but having a proper hit out the week before a side actually starts their campaign, I think is really important. I wouldn't be surprised if Melton South take it right up to them. But at home, I think Melton will be too strong.
Last game for the round, we're turning the lights on at the Wendouree Reserve for the first time this weekend for match play competition. Lake Wendouree taking on Redan. Under the lights at Wendouree, this is going to be a ripper. Those going along, yes, it will be Lake Wendouree playing there. It's not the Wendouree Cricket Club that have decided to just take the whites off and put jumpers on. You'll see a red and white team out there. Lake Wendouree wearing the jumpers from the old Wendouree Footy Club, the old Central Highlands club that helped form the Lake Wendouree Footy Club 25 years ago. So great to see the red and the white running around this weekend against Redan under lights in what's going to be a pretty damn good game of footy.
Yeah, just touch on that, Shaun. I think it's a great initiative from the club. I know that, like, looking at the Brisbane Lions, when they wear the old Fitzroy goons, it really does just bring back memories of who Fitzroy really was and what they resembled. So we obviously know that the Wendouree merged with YCW many years ago to form Lake Wendouree. So for the Lake Wendouree boys to wear the old Wendouree goons on Saturday is fantastic. So as you said, it's a night game. Hopefully that will mean that the crowd is quite large. Hopefully the weather's good. Look, both of these teams I think will finish top three. Lake Wendouree recruited really well in the off-season. Having Ben Taylor back at the helm is really important. He's been overseas the last couple of years, and also Nick Peters is a massive recruit. He'll be one of the premium on balls in the competition. So he may have a little bit of a finger concern at the moment, but I think he will play. And Redan have got a couple of players out. Liam Hoy, who's a really good recruit for them.
Won't see him until mid-year.
He's still overseas, and they possibly may have a couple of others missing as well. But I think Lake Wendouree, based on who they've recruited and also the way they've played so far this pre-season, I think they'll get over the line in a really close one. But certainly encourage everyone in the region to get along to watch a high-standard BFL senior game. And also the netball as well will be a good senior netball game as well. So
certainly
looking
will.
Forward to it.
Certainly will indeed. Lakers for mine as well. Good to see Gav Webb back into the country ahead of round one after taking a couple of weeks sojourn overseas in the twilight of the pre-season as well, just leaving it to Chipper to take over the side. So hopefully the boys actually respond to Webby this week and are able to get over the line. Good to see you back, Gav, back in the country, mate. Thanks for coming back just in time for the first round of the season. That's us done and dusted for this week on the BFL Footy Show, mate. Thanks for joining us once again.
No, thanks, Shaun. Really looking forward to the year ahead. I think it'll be a really close year. Many sides I think will challenge, and I think the gap between the bottom few sides and the top few sides will certainly get a little bit tighter. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it as well. And you can look forward to us being here every Wednesday throughout the 2016 season. Thanks to Ballarat, Toyota and McDonald's Ballarat, the BFL Footy Show right here on the BFL website every week.
Goodbye for now.